Let's build automated governance process for your SharePoint site that will archive not used sites by anyone. My name is Shimon Bochniak, I'm Microsoft MVP in two categories, Microsoft 365 and Copilot, and the last 18 years I helping customers to achieve more with Microsoft 365. And today in this how-to video I want to advise you how you can help yourselves to govern your SharePoint Online site collections, to clean up unused space, and also to save your storage in the Microsoft 365 in fully automated process. We will use SharePoint Advanced Management functionality that integrates with Microsoft 365 Archive in the implementation of the lifecycle process for your SharePoint sites. So let's dig in how you can step-by-step configure your Microsoft 365 to implement automate governance process for your SharePoint Online. As a result of our configuration, we will automatically analyze our active sites and archives the sites that are not used by anyone anymore. And to do that, we will use site lifecycle management, where you will be able to create the policy that will automatically assess your SharePoint site, and if your SharePoint site will not be used for 6 months, it will notify the owners and administrators, set this site for the read-only mode for 3 months, and after this period archive this site into your Microsoft 365 archive service. Thanks to that, you will get rid of all not used data by anyone, limit number of sites that you have to administer, clean up the environment from legacy data. To make that process possible, there will be some kind of prerequisites that you need to configure on your Microsoft 365 environment. First of all, you will also need to include your Azure subscription for the billing purposes. In general, Microsoft 365 Archive is free till the moment you will exceed the storage of your SharePoint Online, but even then, it's few times cheaper than additional storage that you have to bought there, so I highly recommend you to consider such option. To do that, first of all, we need to configure connection to the billing of the Microsoft Azure service. To do that, open the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, go to the organization settings, and find pay-as-you-go services. This is the solution that allows you to configure services like Microsoft 365 Backup, Microsoft 365 Archive, and few more. To configure it, you need to set up 3 parameters that will connect your Microsoft 365 environment with Microsoft Azure. First, Azure subscription, then resource group, and you will also need to select the region where that data will be stored. So in this case, Microsoft Azure Data Center. After you will configure that, save that setting, and after you will configure that, you will be able to use pay-as-you-go services inside Microsoft 365. The next element that you need to configure to make that process possible to be implemented is configuration of such a service. In the pay-as-you-go service section in the storage, you will have the possibility to enable archive Microsoft 365 Archive service that will allow you to archive manually the SharePoint site across SharePoint Online. Again, this is manual process, not automated solution, but this configuration will be required from your site to enable this service before we will move forward. And the last element that you need to configure to get access to this functionality are SharePoint Advanced Management Services. This is the functionality that you can access whenever you will bought the first Microsoft 365 Copilot subscription on your tenant, and then enable site lifecycle governance processes in your organization. With this subscription, you can configure the inactive site policies that will help you to analyze your environment, and you can do that in 2 ways: simulation and active execution of the policies. First of all, I highly recommend you to do the simulation to review how many inactive sites that you already own in your tenant. Remember, After the policies will be enabled, owners will get notifications about some activities that have to be done on your environment. Based on the simulation model, you can manually first archive the sites that are very old and then activate the lifecycle process for the actively used sites. To do that, you have to create the new policy. In the first step, there will be a reminder what kind of activities that will be done. Remember, there will be monthly emails sent to the owners or administrators about the sites that are inactive and will be moved on to the read-only mode or archive in the Microsoft 365 archive service. After the grace period of 3 months read-only mode, they will be archived. In the next step, the only thing you need to do is to select which sites, templates that you want to take into consideration or exclude some kind of sites from the scope. Frankly, I recommend you to use that policy as wide as possible to review what is happening in your Microsoft 365 environment. In the last step, you decide how long inactivity behind the SharePoint site should be taken into consideration. I recommend very safe approach, so 3 months plus of inactivity behind the site, and site owners and site administrators to be notified about such a case. In the end, you need to decide whenever there should be simulation or some kind of enforcement should be implemented. Only read-only mode or fully archived process after 3 months of the read-only period. And you can see still this process will take a lot of time. So in this configuration, 9 months, but after this period of time, every inactive site will be archived in the Microsoft 365 archive. Your environment will be automatically governed. The SharePoint sites will be automatically archived. Your environment will be governed very nicely. And you can see, you don't have to be super advanced administrator, but remember, this access to the Microsoft Azure is required, plus SharePoint and global admin configuration have to be done on the tenant level to make that policies present in your environment. So what will happen when you will activate this policy? Administrators and site owners will get that kind of notification about the sites that are inactive, with possibility to certify the site that is still active, or even with the encouragement to delete the site if this is something not used anymore. And this is part of automated process, so the policy that we configured will take care of that kind of notifications for the site owners. And from the admin perspective, you will have clear report about how many sites were taken care by business owners or something that shouldn't be archived or deleted, how many are in the read-only mode, and how many were already archived. All of that in the SharePoint Admin Center, plus in the Excel report that you can export from the solution, where you can track the sites in the read-only mode, possible activities connected with the notifications. Again, you can see this is not super advanced solution from the admin panel perspective, but working very smooth, and it gives you the possibility to implement automated governance process for your SharePoint Online. Let's build automated governance process for your SharePoint site that will archive not used sites by anyone. My name is Shimon Bochniak, I'm Microsoft MVP in 2 categories, Microsoft 365 and Copilot, and the last 18 years I helping customers.